Technology, or the JNMT. I'm also the continuing education editor for it, and I'm joined here today with Kathy Thomas, who is a legend, but she is the editor in chief. Kathy, welcome.
Hi, Mary Beth, and thank you.
So we're going. That's all you have to say about yourself? You can. She's so much more wonderful than that. All right. So you've been the editor of the JNMT for now 7 years, and you started out with a vision, and it's probably evolved over time. So tell me where you're going with the journal.
Well, initially, I took on my shoulders the successes of all the other editors. But I wanted to build on those successes because what I saw the JNMT could be enhanced with, number one, continuing education. And thanks to you, Mary Beth, that's happened. Continuing education is critical for every person practicing in nuclear medicine technology. We have to renew our credentials every single whatever period of time. And without continuing education, we can't do that. So my goal was to make sure that CE articles were offered in every single issue. And thanks to Mary Beth, we've actually had a minimum of 3 CE articles in every single journal since the last 7 years. But we also needed some additional tools and resources. When we have CE articles, we also need to be able to translate those CE articles, especially if they're imaging CE articles, to how do I do this? And when you have a very complicated continuing education article, but you don't know how to break it down to tell me how to do this imaging, I don't know how to do it. So we've designed practical protocols, and we associate those with every single CE article that's an imaging article. Techs can take them, they can rip them out, they can put them in their procedure manuals, they can use them on a daily basis, and it's been very successful. But we also created an area for our educators. Our educators are a very small niche group, but they're great and they need their own resources. So we needed to provide an area for them to discuss their issues, provide information and educational materials for them as well. So we really wanted to build that up. And just recently, we've added a section for our students. Our students do a lot of hard work, and we want them to have the opportunity to get published. It's not an easy process, but we're really hoping if we build that fire initially and they get published, and you've got an example of a couple of them. Students started out publishing, and now they're still publishing in JNMT. So those are just some of the few articles and ideas that we had, and they continue to grow. I think we had one small foobar in the very beginning. We had this brilliant idea to do a Twitter journal club. Kind of fell on its face fairly quickly.
That was a bad idea.
It was a bad idea,
I'm
but
sorry.
we recovered and we moved on. So those were some of the ideas, and they continue to grow every single day.
All right. The JNMT is very endear to my heart, to your heart, and we're very passionate about it. But how is it different from the physician scientific focused JNM?
Well, let's think about J&M. J&M is very heavy duty on clinical science, research protocols, high-end discussions on every single topic. We need to boil that down and translate it into something that's useful and practical to those working in nuclear medicine departments. And let's face it, some of those are so high-end, you're going, what did he say? You haven't got a clue.
Rat brains.
My favorite, rat brains. That's absolutely true.
We need those.
So we really needed to boil those down into practical information, and that's exactly what JNMT is. It's a very practical journal, and it's useful to any reader. I don't care if you're a physician, a scientist, radiopharmacist, technologist, educator, or student. Everyone can find something in JNMT that's useful for them.
Now, I know this is going to shock you, but I don't think everybody is reading the JNMT from cover to cover like you and me. I'm sorry. But for those who are not, what's in it for them? Why should they read the JNMT?
Well,
Why does it matter?
think of the technologists who recently had a doc ask for an amyloidosis protocol on a patient, and they're going, Doc, I haven't done amyloidosis since 1975. Had they simply picked up the journal, not only did we discuss that topic, we provided all the tools to be successful in imaging, understanding the background information. Everything was there in that issue, and we focused it on amyloidosis imaging. We continue to do that when new things come on board. Another good example, remember gastric emptying is something that, if you look at the surveys, are done a million different ways across the U.S. A good example of that is there are techs out there that are still pouring squirting their technetium on cornflakes as the meal. Well, in one of our issues of JNMT, we actually broke down that discussion. Not only did we find out that probably wasn't the best idea, we also found out that the new diet drugs, Ozempic and like drugs, actually affect gastric motility. Marijuana, same thing. It was JNMT that published that information. It was picked up nationwide. It was on every, it was even in the news. So it was fun information, but everybody was going, wait a minute, I didn't know that was affecting my studies. Where could you find that? JNMT. So people who say, oh, there's nothing in JNMT that's useful to me, it's going to be useful to you in your everyday practice. You really need to think about that.
Who doesn't want to read about marijuana? I mean, come on. All right. So then the last question. You're saying how practical this is and how useful and how the field is evolving and we need to keep getting articles. There's probably people out there who have got great ideas, who are trying to figure out what to do with their Lutathera, garbage and things like that. And people are coming up with innovative ideas. They maybe never written a scientific manuscript before. How do they get involved? How can they start writing? How can they contribute to the JNM?
Number one, they need to contact you and they need to contact me.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of texts out there. And actually, we've got published articles in JNMT now that somebody said, look, I did a therapy study. My patient was on Coumadin. We didn't realize it. And we didn't put a Band-Aid on their arm that was going to stop the bleeding. They walked out of the department. They bled all the way down the hall. And it caused a huge problem in the department. They shared that information. It wasn't in the right format. It didn't have the right template for publication. But with our help, we were able to put it in the right format and get them published. But the more important piece on that was a lot of people didn't think about, little things like that, a quick injection, the patient walks out the door, you don't think about that. When you've got a therapy dose on board and they're bleeding all the way down the hall, think of the cleanup, think of the mess. And that can be an issue. Every tech out there, every physicist, every scientist has had some weird little something going on. When they share that information and how they resolved it and we get it published, that goes out to the masses and other people are going to benefit from that, either to avoid it or just not let it happen at all, to reset up their protocols so that they can avoid it in the first place.
It's lost if they don't do it.
It's totally lost. So contact us, share your ideas. We can make that happen. We can get you published, because I guarantee if you look online at the information for authors, you're going to take a look at the requirements and you're going to go, nope, can't do it. No way, not happening. Just write down your ideas, contact Mary Beth and I, and we can get you published.
I love it. All right. So obviously you're passionate. I'm passionate. We hope that we've got people to be more passionate about it. So read the journal from cover to cover, obviously, but don't be afraid to write. Any last words?
Nope. Just keep reading JNMT. And more importantly, if there's something missing, if you have an idea, if there needs to be a new section, if we're not meeting your needs, the only way we can know that is if you share that idea. We put out surveys. Everybody goes, yeah, I see the survey. Check. You guys are wonderful. But it's the new ideas that we see written down that really make a difference. And every time you share that information with us and we can apply it, we do it. So our next innovation, hopefully, is something that we can provide interactive articles where you read something there, you can go out and you can see something more and in depth, maybe on a website. It may take another year to make that happen, but that's our next goal to make happen.
If any of you know how to do that, let us know.
Yeah, and if you know how to do that, please contact us.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. I'm Mary Beth. Thank you and enjoy the meeting.